Hey everyone, today we're getting into the Gospel of Mark, but just looking at the very first verse. The beginning of the good news of Jesus Christ, the Son of God. Right? That's the first sentence of Mark's Gospel, and it's not even actually a complete sentence. But it packs in a lot about what Mark is doing, both in the words that he uses and a little bit about even his writing style. You see, like I mentioned, it's not a complete sentence. Well, Mark ain't no fancy pants kind of writer. He's short, he's to the point, he starts most of his sentences with the word and a lot of them with the word immediately. So Jesus, it's just immediately he does this, and then immediately this. He's got a story to tell and he wants to get to it. Now that doesn't mean that Mark doesn't have a developed theology of who Christ is. In fact, this verse makes very clear a claim that the entire book is attempting to prove about who Jesus is. So we can kind of pick apart some of these words and think about what they could have meant in their time and how Mark wants us to understand them. Right? Calling Jesus the Christ. Christ means anointed one or Messiah. It's a title, not a name. And so it refers to a king, just like the phrase Son of God. In this time, Son of God referred to the Messiah. It's not a claim to divinity. It's not about the second person of the Trinity. Even though that is true about Jesus, that's not the way that the first century Jews were using that term. Son of God was a term used even for King David, who was very human, but it was expected that this Messiah would come to revive David's dynasty. And on the other side, the Roman leaders, the Caesars, they also referred to themselves as sons of God. So this is a term that's in the air, and however we understand it, we have to understand what it meant to Mark and his early readers too. So by the first century, the Messiah, the Son of God, was seen as an Israelite king who was going to come and establish an earthly kingdom and kick out the Romans. Now, as you know, that's not what Jesus does. And so one of the other things that we see through this gospel is something that's called the messianic secret. Every time somebody calls Jesus Messiah or Son of God, he says, oh, don't tell anybody about that, right? It's not because he's not the Messiah. It's because probably he knows how people would misunderstand that, and he doesn't want that message idea getting out. So if you want to know what it means for him to be the Messiah, you have to look at the cross. That's where Jesus, as the Son of God, is truly revealed. The only human in the entire book who identifies Jesus as the Son of God is the Roman centurion at the cross. Mark's message is you don't really see who Jesus is until you see that. And so if you don't get that offering yourself in self-sacrificial love, that's what a Messiah does, then you don't understand that Jesus is the Christ. But if you do, you can see this as good news. That's the other phrase that Mark uses here at the beginning. The gospel, the good news, the evangelion. Jesus battles against the forces of evil, but not against people. So, if we're going to claim that Jesus is the Son of God, he's the Messiah, he's Lord, and we're saying this is good news, are we going to imitate him in the way that he lives his life?